As Nigeria ushered in the year 2026, President Bola Tinubu said that the new year would mark the beginning of a more robust phase of economic growth for Nigeria. Nigeria's economic reform agenda under the current administration has been anchored on a fundamental reworking of fiscal, monetary and structural policies aimed at stabilizing the economy and restoring growth after years of deep distortions. Joining us on the show to discuss how Nigeria ought to use what it owns to attract investment and capital rather than borrowing is Dr. Ayo Teriba, an economist. Good morning, Dr. Teriba. You're most welcome. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us. The first week of the year 2026.
Happy New Year, Bills. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Teriba, let's start with outlook for 2026, because that's the traditional thing that we do beginning of the year. The president has talked about fiscal policy, consolidation of economic growth. In his New Year message, he talked at length about how the reform has worked, how the reform has been commended by multilateral institutions and also rating agencies like Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and Fitch, and how what his government intends to do this year is to just consolidate and ensure greater restoration and hope for Nigerians. But what are the specifics? Because he was even talking about, or was it the central bank and the CPPE, Center for Private Enterprise Promotion, talking about, GDP growth may be up to about 4.9% in the year 2026. How realistic are those? So just your own outlook, and also the benchmarks in the budget and all this stuff. Finally, the big elephant in the room, tax. The new taxes, NTA, as they are called, that became effective yesterday.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. Happy New Year. Wish all of us all the best in 2026.
And we hope to see you more this year. Also on this day live.
God willing.
Abandon us on that platform.
I am not.
Please come every Sunday.
They can call anytime. I'm happy always to be here. And Happy New Year to our viewers at home. Let's hope the best for 2026. I'll begin on the outlook. You've broadly put three issues on the table. The outlook as I see it, then the budget benchmarks, and then the tax. So let's do the tax last. Let's start with the outlook. In my view, the outlook for Nigeria for 2026 should be much better than the government is projecting. And I'm pleased to remind us that the multilateral agencies have projected a better growth outlook for Nigeria than even the world economy. That the world economy is projected, to slow down slightly. They were adjusting the projected growth for the world downward while raising the projected growth for Nigeria. That's a positive to start with. What reference year would I liken 2026 to? Incidentally, it will be 20 years ago. You should expect that 2026 is going to be similar to 2006. When you saw the stock market increase fivefold, the Naira gained strength, inflation stabilized, and growth accelerated before it all hit the wall in the 2008-2009 global economic and financial crisis. So I'm saying 2026 is going to be a repeat of 2006. Expect, rapid, tranquility and expansion on all fronts. 2006 was by luck. Global oil prices smiled on us. Global commodity prices broadly. That was the commodity super cycle. That was the peak of it before the crisis. This one is not luck. This one is policy induced. The biggest gain has come in the area of stability of the exchange rate and disinflation, that deceleration of inflation that we've seen for the whole of 2025. And I have, projected that by January, inflation should hit single digits. The last reading as of November was 14.45. I expect the next to be about 12%. And by January, that will be announced mid-February, we should be in single digits. If we hit single digits at the beginning of the year, we should stay in single digits, for the rest of the year. I feel that the exchange rate projection by the government, inflation projection by the government are far, lower than what we should be expecting. We should expect exchange rate to, it has ended the year now at less than 1,500. Yeah. The end, if things hold with inflation and exchange rate remains stable and reserves, I'm not talking of gross reserves, that the central bank is projecting, I think they should stop projecting gross reserves and be a bit more honest, that what matters to us is net reserves. So if it was at 29 in November 2025, and it was as 4 2 years earlier, so the government has done well by increasing net reserves 7-fold. So if we will be projecting from 29 to 50 billion in net reserves by the end of the year, exchange rate might go down to 1,000 or below. Oh. Remember that 2 years ago, we projected that the exchange rate was going to be at 800, but it ended at 16. So we might be on the way down now, that we are still projecting 15 or 14, but it may end, if you like, at 800. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, as part of the economic outlook shared by the president, because he said that, the idea is that 2026 we begin to see our harvest year. Following these reforms that you've talked about, Nigerians have had to go through the birth, pang, labor. Now, this is the time when we behold and feel the joy of the beautiful child. In saying that, one of the avenues or vehicles is through the Renewed Hope Ward Development Program, where they're looking to have 10 million Nigerians in contributing to the economy through employment or as entrepreneurs. What do you make of that? Is this realistic? Would this be achievable by this administration, as that is a key driver I've mentioned in the president's New Year speech?
Okay, I'll remind us that after the lockdown, the president then of President Buhari, the vice president came up with 1,000 jobs in 774 local government areas. Any government that cannot fund its pronouncements should not make such pronouncements. President Tinubu is coming from 2 years. I'm not saying this to criticize him. I'm saying this to wake us up to reality. He hasn't funded the capital votes for 2024. He hasn't started the one for 2025, and he's promising you every word, this and that. Disregard that. Unless they can find the 40 trillion they had hoped to find in revenue for 2025 and we do the capital project, they shouldn't make any, promise that they won't find the money to fund. You are a 10 trillion revenue, government. So scale your pronouncements to your revenue, unless you can open credible sources of money, which is what we will get to, unless you're talking about foreign direct investment. Because we say you borrow 24, you run a desk. Who is going to give 24 trillion to a federal government that has revenue capacity of 10 trillion? On what basis? So the only thing where you can get 50 trillion, if you wish, or 100 trillion, is investment. That's how Saudi move forward. That's how India move forward. That's how Brazil moves forward. And Nigeria has assets more than Saudi. More assets than Saudi could ever have. In being, a country with, if you like, 6 times as much population as Saudi. So many cities where you can unlock wealth, and you are not unlocking those wealth.
But Saudi has a bigger landmass.
It's not about land mass. Your land without people occupying it
but they can
is
also
useless
develop
to
it.
you.
So when you said
it's about
assets, a country that has over 1 million square kilometers compared to a country that has 9 something. It's one of the biggest countries in the Middle East. Because when you're talking about assets...
No. Real estate. Land without people to live in it.
Yeah, they can get people to live in
not
it.
of much. Wait, we've got how many cities compared to Saudi? We have density. This is... The demand in Nigeria cannot be ignored by the world.
But a demand that has no purchasing power? A population that has not been engineered.
You are the one that is saying that the demand does not have purchasing power.
Prove it now. Prove it. Is that
wait. The bulk of the corporate wealth in the world is at the bottom of the pyramid. People will buy toothpaste every day, buy detergent. They are not sold for much.
Are we be able to harness that?
Every day. Nigeria has it. Nigeria is the 7th largest population in the world.
Have we been able to harness it? A population without purchasing power.
All the top fast-moving consumer goods in the country are here to sell to you. Even if you can't produce it, they are here to sell to you. They can't ignore it.
Are they harnessing?
That's
another question.
Yeah, we are arguing.
So
we are arguing rather than... Wait.
They are not harnessing yet. We are not... I believe with you
Zulufai, let me
that
just
we can
summarize
do
this.
that potentially.
Let me summarize this. The telecoms companies know that there is the number of countries where they can unlock 200 million telephone lines in the world are not up to 10. Saudi is not one of them. There is no country in the Middle East that is one of them. It's not just telecoms companies. It's all the sellers of detergents, the sellers of all the fast-moving consumers. Know that the demand that they can capitalize on, even if it is $1, the Sachi economy.
But till today, no telecom company has unlocked over 200 million lines in Nigeria. It's just only over 80 million. I think that's MTN, the biggest one. But
collective, I'm saying collective number of lines unlocked.
Okay, the questions I want to ask you is this. At least today, we're excited that we are looking at the facts. Yes, we're at 10 trillion in revenue. The government at first gave us some discrepancies in figures until the Minister of Finance...
There's no discrepancy in figures.
You're going to explain that. Yeah, until the Minister of Finance said, okay, 10 trillion. Secondly, we can't fund our capex. I think the money we used to fund, I think it was only 17% of that we could do in the last budget.
For 2 years running, yes.
For 2 years running, which is a paltry sum. Which is as against what we had said. Secondly, when you look at it, what's now results now is the fact that even the numbers we are parading, inflation numbers, the other day Tilewa Adebayo was here and he said the number based on his calculation should be 23%. That we are just using base year to do economic, what is it called, calculation.
That's Tilewa's view.
What is the affectation?
Not necessarily right.
What is the affectation with this talk about, okay, we have reserves, but it's not converting into the lives of people. Reserves is just just for importation and, stability.
How many questions are you asking?
Go ahead. No, I've just paraphrased for you.
You started with fiscal
indices, number one.
You started with inflation, whether...
An inflation number.
Number two. Can we deal with those two?
Yeah, do with it.
There's no discrepancy. From what the president said when he said we had met our target for the year, and later on the chairman of the FIS came out and said he has made 22.5 trillion. And then the finance minister came out to say there was 10 trillion revenue realized out of 40. They were talking about two different levels of government. The president and the chairman of the FIS were speaking about revenue in the federation account. Okay. So of the 22 trillion that he said he has made, and at the end of the third quarter and was projecting, if you projected that, it would be 30 trillion for the year. That's federation account revenue collected. What the federal government is going to get out of that is going to be less than 10 trillion. Okay, so at the end of the day, what the minister reported upon is that money from all sources, from federation account and their own internal sources, they got 10 trillion. So there's no discrepancy.
So what of the other close to 20 trillion? We said we broke records in non-oil process.
That's federation. It will be shared. That's FAC. Money going into FAC.
Yeah.
Not federal budget.
Okay.
So the minister was giving account of the federal budget at the Senate.
Okay.
So that's after they've gone through FAC. They've got like a quota. of that 23 trillion because it's not everything that's
Let's
going to be
quickly go
shared.
to inflation numbers. Those inflation,
The inflation, see, it was the MBS that created the confusion when they announced the rebasing. They created the impression that the base was December, whereas the base was June. They created the impression that they rebased to 2024. They did not rebase to 2024 because Nigeria moved from annual base. Nigeria moved from annual base in November 2009. So they were meant to be that specific that they are changing the base from November 2009 to June 2024. So people are expecting that this month is 100. Whereas it was June. This month, a year ago, was 100. It's not. It's 116. Yeah.
We seem to have run out of time. I would have loved you to talk about more substantial things rather than minutiae. I would have loved to hear from you, for example, what are your recommendations for the government in 2026 in terms of priorities? Not sale of assets, so we know that's your position. But
that's not my position.
But specific things, 1, 2, 3, and then we go.
That's Telewa's position.
And what I am advocating is that we should earn money from our assets.
Okay.
Don't sell them.
Okay.
People pay money just to visit Burj Khalifa.
Okay.
It's not sale.
Okay.
Aramco has been lifted in the stock market.
Okay.
Saudi government still owns it. It's not a sale.
Okay, thank you.
Dangote is bringing the refinery to the market not to sell it. Don't call it sale of asset.
Okay.
But to securitize your asset.
Okay.
So if you have real estate, you can make revenue from it. You shouldn't be taxing people. You're just forgiving NNPC 4 trillion or 5 trillion in debt.
Okay, thank you.
You want to come and tax people for what?
Okay, thank you.
So make money from your assets. Do not sell them.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ayo Teriba, for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on Sunday and every other time.
Thank you.